it's a vehicle for vodka, but that's about it.
I was never a Bloody Mary person myself. That's a good place to fade in. Hi, everybody. It's Kay.
And Juliana.
Oh, boy.
Great here.
That's actually, as fade-ins go, probably the quickest we've ever gone. 2 thoughts and then, and you'll never know why we're talking about Bloody Marys, or maybe you will, because I'll say it has to do with V8 juice and a story that I will share sometime else. I have to start off by saying happy anniversary, Juliana. It's been 15 years since the 2003 New York City blackout. Like half of my friends list has been posting about it today. I love wishing you happy anniversary for things that have nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I know.
It makes me happy.
I feel like a 1950s house husband.
What's going on? What were you up today, dear?
Years ago, huh?
Yeah, I know. That's a little sobering because it was like my senior year of high school. And
Yeah, I remember watching Conan O'Brien talking about it.
My friends who are just that much older than me, who have already been in college down here, have been posting about their memories of it and being like, it was great. Bodegas were throwing open their doors and handing you ice cream cakes because what the hell are they going to do with them?
That's like my fantasy.
It's amazing. I was like, aw, that's sweet. And then I also noticed the theme of, and once it got dark, we all got the hell inside.
That's fun.
Hey, strangers, were any of you in the blackout? Send us a message about it. Did you eat ice cream cake in the dark? Because that sounds like a good time.
That sounds like an awesome time.
Not gonna lie, kind of.
AKA a typical Saturday night for me.
Oh my God. Well, except not right now because you're in the middle of a show. So how is it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm tired.
It's the good tired.
And yeah, it's funny because we were just laughing and I had no idea what episode. I was off by 2 or 3.
No, you were off. I was off by 1 as well. So we do know that this is our 25th episode now. We'll do something celebratory in 5 because we figured 30 was a big deal.
We will celebrate episode 30 like never before.
Like never before.
Like episode 30s have never been.
Oh man, yeah. And then it got quiet. No, because we literally were both like, "What's our theme this week?" It's a good. Actually, no. This theme is going to work out nicely. It's worked out well. You explain what we're doing because you came up with it.
Oh, I just sent Kate a text saying, "Can we cover transferable skills, aka what do we learn as actors that we can use in the real world or specifically in day jobs?"
Yes, in whatever this real world is supposed to be, I habitate there as infrequently as possible.
In the civilian world. Pause for just a second because the dog's going to start barking. Maybe that's all she did.
Well, or it could have also just sounded like a sneeze. Besides, we've had stranger sounds behind you that I never crossfaded, and I don't think I'm ever gonna. This is all staying in. No. But yeah. So, I don't know what that head movement was about, but you're taking the lead on this. This is your idea, darling, and I will follow gladly.
Okay, so we have been asking on social media, what are your day jobs? Oh, you actor and musicians, what are you doing as far as day jobs go? And I'm going to predict that this is going to really run the gamut. I have actor friends who are everything from hostesses at restaurants to Starbucks baristas to working like in advertising.
I was going to say the internationally renowned temp work, right?
Temp work, yes,
yeah.
But then also people who have, nice careers going for them in the civilian world. So but let's talk about like what our day jobs are. We mentioned briefly that yours is actor adjacent, and I have a curiosity about standardized patients. Is everyone that you work with, your colleagues, are they actors as well? Like, do they necessarily come from a theater or film background?
I would say largely yes, although we do have some who aren't. And the thing about it is also on the other end of what one would consider to be the big cycle of your career, you have the retirees who still want to make a little extra income. And lucky for them, there is a need for a geriatric patient simulation. So I'm not to those...
Simulation. Simulation.
Simulation, yes.
Yes.
Let's be clear about this. I don't. Stimulation is a higher pay grade than I am willing to go for. But just yeah, I mean, what I do is, as I alluded, basically, standardized patient work is if have you seen the episode of Seinfeld, Juliana, with
Yeah, I know.
Kramer?
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, the Kramer job, which I sadly have never played ED, if you know what I'm referencing, and I don't think I ever could. But it really, what happens is in the medical field, you've got a lot of medical students who are doing a whole lot of book learning, who are nose in the text all day long, but they are, primarily, unless they're really just looking to be in a research track, they're going to have to interact with humans and sick humans, so they need to kind of have a bedside manner for the way that I also shorthand it to my friends. That's where you bring in trained actors who can simulate various temperaments, various ailments, and then also be able to give them communications feedback, which is probably it was the part that I used to be most uncomfortable and concerned about when I was like, what do you mean I don't have a character to hide behind anymore? Oh, God. But it's sort of become my favorite part of it because really when you're studying theater, look, I'm bringing it back to the theme here, what are you learning fundamentally besides communications? And it's really that one-on-one experience. And yeah, I mean, especially the first year students that I start to work with from day one, I love programs where I can start to just kind of talk to them right out of the gate so you don't have to weed out habits or, kind of break down the wall of them going, well, when I read all of this in this textbook and blah, 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 does it really matter what the patient thinks as long as I cure them? So a lot of the bias kind of can get peeled off of it. And you can kind of break down right to the core of it. And I've really come to love it because I think it's almost like an extended improv too, Juliana, because while you know your character, you know your age, your family history, all those things, so much of it is up to the way the student asks you questions, and it's not improv like whose line is it anyway improv, although God knows there are moments.
but no, as far as like actually taking what they're giving you
Yeah.
and not going off your script, you're actually.
Very few programs I work with give you any sort of actual line readings or things that they want scripted in. And I think it has made me a better actor in a lot of ways because I can think on my feet a lot faster. And I hope in my regular life made me a better communications person as well, because when you're talking to somebody about all their leading questions and how they never let me get a word in edgewise, and then you turn the mirror back on yourself and go, well, hey, so it helps you clean up your own side of the street, I guess, is the way I'd put it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm turning the day job around now, Juliana. And for you, theater.
For me, my day job has been a little bit more different. Like I did a lot of when it first started. I did not necessarily temping. I did like short-term jobs, so like teaching, and then I did a lot of tutoring. I did SAT tutoring and junior high writing tutoring.
Nice.
And I did modeling and promotional modeling.
Got it. Understood. I was ready for it to be something a little more risque. You oversold that.
No. It's like,
That's what they told me. That's what I put on the taxes anyway.
It's not modeling, whatever.
Are you in stock photos somewhere?
Oh, tons. I'm sure. But I'm not that tall.
Right.
So whatever. Please cut this. This is all stupid. Okay.
Which means none of us can cut.
After a few years of being teetering on the edge of being a starving artist,
yay! I know that.
I got a job, a salary job, in the finance industry and in administration. And in that field, there are thrown around the terms a lot, soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like, things that aren't going to show up on your LinkedIn profile necessarily or your resume. So yeah, you can type at this speed and you can use these different programs and you can teach this software. But what about the soft skills of like eye contact and not getting, being able to handle pressure or diffuse pressure or, things like that. So soft skills, I guess we've talked about how I sometimes can put on a producer hat.
Right.
And it's easy for me to put on an objective hat when it comes to working in this field. I just totally lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, train of thoughts are good things to pick up at the station. No, it sounds a lot like what, like I was saying, kind of like what I do when you're talking about soft skills. That's kind of the stuff where our student doctors are going, well, what do you mean I need to finesse how I say this? Or, what do you mean it was off-putting when I stood the whole time while you were standing on the bed and you spent the entire time talking to my navel? Like, those are huge.
Yeah. And so my thought was, I remember
You found it, yay!
What I was thinking is, if I'm going to be if my first love, my passion, the thing I need to do in this life is theater, but I'm going to be spending 40 to 50 hours a week doing something else. So that I am healthy and have food in my belly and a gym membership. And
I'm not under the bridge,
If it is inevitable that I'm going to be working 40 hours a week doing something, this is me. I would rather get paid $80 an hour as opposed to $15 an hour. So I have really worked hard on maximizing my soft skills in something that I can sell to a company that pays their employees good money.
Yeah. Oh, no, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows I spent enough time. I'm talking about what I'm currently doing and what I've been blessed to be able to do for the last decade. I've been down in the New York, New Jersey area, but I had the mind-numbing jobs. I worked for Subway. I worked for Nanny Ann's Pretzels.
I love Nanny Ann's.
I did not after that summer. I will just put it that way. Everything smelled like yeast and butter and sadness. Sadness has a smell. And of course I also worked in a diner because I think that almost...
Yeah, I did my share of bartending.
For non-theater folk, it's a joke because it's true. We all wind up somewhere in food service for some period of time. Right. It just happens.
Yes. Yeah. Well, especially in New York, you can't escape the food service.
Well, in touristy hubs, it's absolutely true, or in city areas. I mean, what worked about the Albany area was, and I wasn't directly in downtown, but you got a lot of government types, and you got a lot of people with, the word just escaped me, per diems and money that they can, spend on dinner, so they go over to the diner, and maybe they'll have a couple mimosas, and then they'll leave you a $50 tip if you're real lucky. Once.
And you've used your soft skills appropriately.
Yeah, and then I have to say there was the summer that I worked for 2 competing newspapers, and I entertained for a hot second that I was a newsie. But I have used none of my newspaper skills like that. I worked at the Saratoga racetrack, and we were handing out tip sheets and, I mean, you got to watch the horses run, and some high rollers would come up in their limousines and
roll up.
And I did manage to avoid wandering around in the big rolled-up newspaper mascot outfit that they had going around the track.
Career highs. We've all got them.
I did one day. I was assigned keep the mascot alive duty, if you can follow what I mean by this, because it was a 90-degree day outside with
You were a handler?
Yeah, I was the smiling newspaper's handler, shoving water bottles up the
special skills list.
Shoving the water bottle up to get it to the innards.
I love
Actually, when you talk about your day jobs with theater, I think it very quickly blends into war stories, and that could be its own episodes style segment, but we'll merge them together here for the sake of going, look, we're using our skills and giving you useful takeaway, and also going, everything tasted like yeast and sadness, and I shoved a water bottle up a newspaper. So, I did that last week. I don't know even what I'm doing anymore. But you know what? Honestly, guys, if you are enjoying this podcast, this is sort of a companion to what we did last week in a sense, because we, and by we, I mean Juliana took most of the lead on that, but the process, the creative process that an actor goes through. And, so if you want to, either finish this episode and then pop back, or hold here and go back, whatever works, whatever your process is, in fact. We'll be waiting here patiently, because you can pause us. You're ruining it. You're not supposed to move. Alright, what's happening more?
Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
We need a new song. I actually, and I haven't heard this song in years, but woke up this morning with Rosanna by Toto stuck in my head, and it hasn't left.
I don't even know.
No idea. Again, songs that I'm not old enough to have been around for, and yet somehow. Rosanna, Rosanna. I'm behaving. This is me behaving.
So I would like to talk about 3 skills that one learns as an actor / theater professional that can be immediately applied in the work field. The work field, the business field,
whatever your line of work is. Well, you'll find a way to make all of these work, we promise. And if not, I put no money on this.
You did not hear it from us.
Nope. That's our standard boilerplate. We try to be official, and then we walk everything back.
I know. Okay, so here we go. We're going to make this quick and dirty.
Whoa. Ooh.
3 points, 3 skills. Number 1, curiosity. As an actor, part of our process is becoming insatiably curious about our own character, the character that we're playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And finding out more. And we talked briefly last week about backstories. I believe with all my heart that curiosity is one of the best tools in any kind of conflict resolution, any kind of problem solving. I believe that the best problem solvers in the world are first curious people. And that it can give you the distance from a situation that one needs to be able to continue working at a very high level without taking things personally. So kind
important.
of make the outside. So number 1 is just being curious. I think that is a business skill that we can sell the next job interview that we go to for real world jobs. That's a good one. And the second is similar to the first one in the fact that we as actors, when we're going into specifically now studying a scene, we look at trying to find the conflict, right? There's 2 things that we're trying to find desperately. We're trying to find the conflict and we're trying to find the love. It's not necessary that we find the love.
Yeah. Sometimes the best drama is if you don't. Womp womp.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, obviously we want to try to find the humanity, and hopefully that soft skill is already built into us. But in looking for conflict, being aware, and I even use this with I'm sorry, I cannot escape teaching acting.
No, that's good. And which, P.S., you should have mentioned is also one of your day jobs, but what sort of day jobs?
That's my favorite day job. My favorite day job in the world is.
That you don't get to do with a 40-hour shift, but hey, if you could.
Yeah, I don't know if I could handle teaching acting because I get so excited about it.
You'll bounce in a chair constantly.
I would teach for 30 hours a week and then be like, sayonara. So looking for conflict all the time, that's kind of always in our head, right, as we're breaking down scenes.
Yep.
It's not that in the workplace we need to look for and so in acting, I sometimes say, maybe it's not conflict. And maybe it's not on the same level that you're thinking. Like, maybe the conflict is not with the person who's talking to you. Maybe your character just simply wants to get out the door, and you can't get out the door because there's someone talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe your conflict isn't what you think it is.
Right.
But there's also, I like to use the term friction. It's not necessarily like, oh, what do I do in this situation type of conflict. Sometimes it's what's slowing you down, what's adding friction. We could even call it baggage if you're the kind of backstory builder that includes a lot of biography.
I was going to say, if you write bodice rippers on the reg that sit in the rack at the checkout line, then your baggage is,
Yeah, I was working with a student recently, a young student who's very talented, but hasn't worked a lot with other actors. So we work on monologues. This is a total rabbit trail, but it's difficult to, I don't know why, the structure of teaching tends to be monologue first and then scene study. It's very hard to teach a monologue to someone who's never been on stage with other actors, and then you're asking them to pretend, in many cases, that there's another person in the room.
To me, that sounds like mostly a function, and again, not approaching it with the thought process you're putting on it. The idea of, well, I've got one actor, so we're going to work on a monologue.
Right.
Yeah, but that's really, it's backwards, yeah.
Yeah, so note, all you actors out there, get in class. Yes, have a private study, but get in class. Just, there are some things you simply are not going to
people.
get.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, in acting, we're looking out for the friction. Why? Because that's where the interesting stuff lies, right? That is where the humanity is. But when you're in a job, whether you're a barista or a server, bartender, or working in administration like I do,
rolled up newspaper,
working for the newspaper, selling that's my cigar. Is hawking your wares, selling your jewelry on Etsy. Being aware that there is going to be friction in any kind of sales. Basically, everything is sales. Everything is marketing. You can think, where's the friction going to be? If you are aware, if you're in a state of mind where you're not looking for conflict, right? Because then you'd be like a miserable person. Like you don't have to be a very negative, paranoid person to have this skill of saying, where's there going to be friction? Oh, we have a weekly meeting. It's scheduled right now for 8 o'clock on Monday mornings. You know what? There's a little bit of friction getting everybody into the office. So if it has to be on Monday, maybe can we think of something, where's there going to be friction? Sometimes you can solve people's problems by understanding that the conflict isn't that she wants a change in her title. Maybe she wants a change in her desk, moving to a different place, right?
Yep.
So think about so we have curiosity, we have conflict and friction, and finally I have failure. If there's one thing that we actors are good at, it is failure and accepting it as part of the process, as part of the package.
And it is the hardest in so many ways, but it is so vital in any field for you to get a handle on that.
You're not, and I feel so strongly like for actors, we don't really become successful until we're okay.
Yeah.
Not, with our moments of failure. I love this quote by Beckett. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail harder. Great actors fail so hard. And how many times have we been told in an acting class or singing, go big or go home?
Yep.
That's the idea that failure is inevitable and is a great skill that we can, again, you can take this and you can market it to people. The fact that we care deeply about what we do, but it's not going to discourage us. If it does, we obviously wouldn't be pursuing this again.
I have two kind of flippant lines that I use when it comes to that sort of thing. Flippant, but there's a lot of truth behind it. It is learning from your mistakes, going, if you don't make the mistakes, it's like I say, well, I won't do that again. I might do something else, but I won't do that again. Or the other thing that I get, be it in the choirs that I've been working in or whatever it might be, I can't correct a mistake that you're not fully making. Yeah. Make it big, go big, go home, or, fail hard, fail harder, and learn from it. Don't just sit there in the muck. Crawl out of it and learn from it. Know what will work and what won't work. Use that as like a data set for yourself. Yep. Look, I made it corporate.
Especially for those of us who work in any kind of service or customer service. This idea is we are going to make mistakes. There are going to be people who are upset. Can we be curious about them before we get angry, before we take it personally? Can we recognize where the friction actually is, where the conflict actually is? And then can we realize that we're going to fail? And just own the mistake, be okay. It doesn't mean that we're bad at our job, and keep moving. Make it better, make it harder, make it more successful next time.
This almost turned into a Daft Punk song. Anyway. Hey, look.
This is our social media plug.
Yes. You do that. I did the social media last week.
Okay. Do I need to do the...
Whatever... It's not required that you mug the camera or Muppet walk. But you're doing it even better than I did. Now I'm shamed. Come back here and tell us about social media. All right.
you are new to our channel, Strange Deer,
Take two.
and we're back. If you are new to our channel, Strange Deer puts out a new theater-centric podcast video every week, usually on Thursday nights, plus bonus episode uploads throughout the week. So if you don't follow us already, please go ahead and hit subscribe down here to be notified of future uploads and join our Strange Deer community. You can follow us at Strange Deer on Instagram and Twitter, and we also have a Facebook page.
Yes.
To be found, face Strange Deers. Deers?
Strange Deers. There are deer. I am from upstate New York. I am quite familiar with some strange deer that free range in deer vehicles. Oh, and we should also mention that we do lives on Thursday nights. If you want to join us, and I was going to say see how the sausage gets made, but mostly we're just talking about the episode before it drops. There is minimal sausage on Thursday nights. 8:30 Eastern Time on either Facebook or Instagram, or if you're Kay, you wind up doing both because you remembered what the Instagram password was.
We'll surprise you. We'll keep you on your toes, but we like to interact with our listeners.
Yes, you can ask us questions in the lives. You should fully interact with us.
And you never know where we're gonna be when we're living.
We should exit together. Hang on. 1, 2, 3. So, now that we've been being goofballs, because I think that's exactly where our energy and brain power is at right now. I needed to be silly tonight, because I might have bad tooth news in the morning. Anyway, so, I wanted to come into this going, so you're a new theatre major. Good for you. You managed to get over the hurdle of Mum and Pop saying that you will be a homeless artist in the gutter. What can you do? Well, if you're Kay and it was 2003, look, I'm just going to put dates out here, and you're an incoming freshman, one of the ways you managed to sell your parents on going to theater school was that there was a high technical component to it. And I think, I love how you went into, like, the actors, what we can apply, and the soft skills and all that, Juliana. I'm going to go right to the part of, the practical aspect of what you can pick up. And I would say picking a theater major that's a good balance that will get you grounded in the technical fields. I say this with a big caveat on it, because if you're a woman in theater and you're too good at tech, you might never wind up on the stage again, which becomes Kay's story. But I digress.
This is voice of spirit.
I digress. I was lucky enough to be in a major where we had a high technical component. It was a smaller major, so quite frankly, we needed everybody. If you weren't cast on...
So every theater major...
Yes, you were...
tech classes.
It wasn't the kind of program where you weren't even allowed to, like, audition for a show until, like, your sophomore year. I know those exist out there. We were auditioning. It was just a case of, okay, so you weren't cast in this show. Are you interested in learning lighting? Are you interested in doing sound? Are you interested in working costumes? That was one of the ways that I kind of, with my parents, I was like, but look, marketable job skills, because they apply all over the place. I was also able to sell them on things like, well, kind of, I guess it's almost the line for people who major in other things, why would you major in anything else, but who are like, well, I'll take this theater course so I can be a good public speaker. And that's where you'd see, like, the non-majors showing up at your, like, theater history 101 class, and they're like...
How to emote in front of people.
Acting 101.
When I was a grad student, I taught speech 101 and 102.
Yeah, it's, and I'm making fun of it, but honestly, that is another thing to be said for it. People who, quote, dabble or took a class or two, it can really help you in that arena. And if you're looking for more info on that, there are way better books written than me sitting here and talking. One that I read just for the heck of it because I happen to be a fan of his was Ken Howard's Act Natural, How to Speak to Any Audience. It's actually very cute. It's based on a series of lectures that he taught at Harvard University.
I like this.
Yeah, to non-theater majors. And primarily non-theater people.
Ken Howard, huh?
Yeah, and it was, my Jefferson bro. But and then who would go on to be the president of SAG-AFTRA for a long, long time. Yeah. But, Ken, in his book, talks about basically the skills you pick up in an acting class and in a theater,
I need to read this.
It's a good book. It's available. You can pick it up for like $5 on Amazon. I think it was printed in the early 90s. But yeah, I enjoy it. And so there's that aspect of it. You know, obviously you can say to mom and dad, look, I'll be able to give a toast, or I'll be able to, you know, when I'm hosting the board meeting at my Fortune 500 company, I will be witty and everyone will want to work with me.
Well, there's a whole movement right now in marketing, specifically financial services, about storytelling as marketing. And there are whole packages and lots of workshops that you can go to learn how to be a better storyteller,
Right.
In order to sell your product.
Oh no, and honestly, that is what's going to grab people, because when you're talking about such an oversaturated, especially online market, where everybody's being bombarded 24/7 with buy this, buy that, look at my Etsy shop, look at, I'm a big company, I'm a small thing. Like, it's just, you know, sensory overload. So how do you stand out? And it really comes down to the personality. So I'd say in a lot of ways, these kind of skills you pick up in studying theater can only be beneficial if you...
You're selling a lifestyle, not a product.
You're selling yourself, but not necessarily in that way. So anyway, let's go back to Kay, little freshman, sophomore, learning my skills to hopefully have a job in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things you quickly pick up on is your organizational skills, which I think is important. And I'm not beyond putting tabs in your binder and knowing where you're using. Like, first of all, there's a whole rabbit trail we can go on too about. I know you've been able to do the digital jump, Juliana, but I am I need the printed page in front of me. I don't know what it is. It's just the way I function.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Lifting the curtain a little bit, because you almost exclusively work off a pad, right? Do you have any software that you use specifically?
I use Rehearsal Pro.
Okay.
I use it for both scripts and scores.
And are you able to do things and like take notes in it and highlight and all of that?
Yeah, not only that, this is like a commercial for Rehearsal Pro, but I don't care.
Hey,
you can like tap on something and do a verbal note as well.
Oh.
So like if your director's just given you notes and you're, instead of writing down, you can always be like, okay, the bottom of page 49, leave stage left door instead of, center on, like or pictures. You can add pictures.
You're almost selling me on trying this thing out. I mean, maybe I'm just not doing it right. Maybe I'm just doing PDFs on a tablet, and that's where I'm falling down. But
yeah, and also, when you use software like this, it's loaded, so you're not going to have the lag.
Right.
Nice. But the ability to be able to like record scenes at a time and then play them back for yourself.
Got it.
For rehearsal it's just nice to have everything
Fantastic.
in one place. But since we're talking about day jobs,
please,
I've listed on my cover letter, cover letter template is the fact that I have helped companies twice go completely paperless, which is kind of a big deal, especially.
Oh no, that's huge now. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, going paperless, and then for myself,
Fantastic.
Obviously nobody cares that I do it with my scripts, but
it proves you walk the walk. And
yeah,
it gives you that experience. Totally, absolutely. There's great software now too. Bringing it back to the technical side of theater. One of my friends was talking about a production he just wrapped where their stage manager was able to give notes at the end of the night, and it was literally like he could tell the format. The stage manager used to be like, that was a line note, that's a blocking note. And so at the end of the night, instead of the stage manager with a bunch of handwritten notes, was able to just highlight the tab and print out those notes and send it to that actor. Like,
I love stage managers so much.
Oh man, and that's
up for me. If anybody wants to hire me as a stage manager, but you got to pay me.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm at that point as well now. Because I fell into that hole pretty hard. Remember earlier when Kay was talking about don't get too good at tech because you'll never be on stage again. And that's actually when I met you, Juliana. I was like, I have these skills, but I want to be on stage.
Yeah.
I've been away for a while, but that
tough when you can do everything,
Well, actually, and it's funny because my last little point here, I was talking about, this sort of dovetails into what you were talking about, but flexibility and the ability to find creative solutions in a hurry. You will figure that out backstage very fast if you're doing tech.
You don't have a choice.
You do not have a choice. Do you remember the C-clamp solution I threw together for the mirror backstage?
Yes.
Because we had a wall at our theater that was all cement that we could not put screws in. which is a problem, especially when we had one cast member who had 19 costumes. I'm not saying his name on this episode, but you should all know now, it sounds like Schmeichel. It rhymes with Schmeichel. Schmeichel had a lot of clothes, and Schmeichel needed a schmearer, so we got Schmeichel a schmearer with some C-clamps, which is something I did learn hanging out backstage. So, yeah, I would say if you are a person who wants to be in theater and you might be, I don't know, struggling with parents who are concerned about your ability to continue to live, you could sell them on the technical angle of it. Just don't get too good. No, I mean, what? Is that weird takeaway? Be good, but not too good.
I just want to say this, and this, we don't have to put this in here, but this is just, I have a pet peeve of people, and this is just me, people talking about a fallback.
Oh God, no. Oh.
Because the truth is, we almost always are going to have alternate streams of income, unless we get very lucky and get something on Broadway that lasts a very long time, or we get something in film, or
fallback connotates failure, and I don't think it's pushing forward the idea that there's like a linear path you must take, and
you're on it or you're not.
There is nothing linear. At least in my experience, there's nothing linear about a theater career.
Right, exactly.
Any artist, honestly, there is nothing linear about it.
That's why that we're not doing fallback.
Yeah. So in our favorite segment, I think in a way, what's making us strange this week, I'll take the lead here first, because you've been in my brain in a weird way, Juliana. I'm going to ask you a question, though. I mean, outside of the usual ways you're in my brain. But I'm going to start with the question here. Would you consider yourself inclined towards the culinary arts?
Yeah, I'd love to cook.
So, are you perhaps familiar with the British baking show, the Great British Baking Show?
Familiar with it?
Familiar with it?
When we speak of shows that require no commitment from me, but just make me feel like I'm wrapped in a nice warm blanket.
Yes.
It is unfortunately, I have watched all the episodes there are to watch more than once, and
have you seen Master? Here's the thing. This is why you were also in my brain. Were you aware that they did British Baking Show Masterclass?
No.
Yeah, because I burned through these episodes this time last summer when we were rehearsing A New Brain. My mental vacation was enjoying British Baking Show, and I got through all the seasons that were available and had a very deep sad because suddenly I didn't have Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry every day to let me know, to realize that metric may actually be the better way to go, and trying to adjust a fan oven, and why would you bake something 170 degrees? Because Americans are wrong.
And what is this hot water crust? Tell me more.
All of these, yes, exactly. But I was so sad when I burned through it. But British Baking Show Masterclass is, I sense, and I should have looked this up, but I sense that they were filming it simultaneously to the seasons they were doing. And they filmed it directly after. It's Paul and Mary by themselves. They're kind of reflecting on the series, and then they bake their perfect thing.
Is it the examples that they're showing before the challenge?
Some of it, yes, or some of it is now Mary's going to make us her crazy amazing caramel cake. Do you
remember that princess cake?
Yes, I was just thinking that Swedish
I want the inside story on that.
It's literally all cream inside, and Mary makes one in this masterclass.
I'm devastated just thinking about this.
This is on Netflix. If you were feeling like I need more British Baking Show. British Baking Show Masterclass exists, and it's been fun. I'm actually going to be watching some a little bit later because I've been having such a smashing good time. And
I'm so in it.
It's worth it if just to see Paul Hollywood be Mary Berry's sous chef and vice versa. And they give each other the most classically British shit you'll ever. It's so fun. And I was thinking of you because I was like, oh, Masterclass, I'll watch that tonight. But yeah, British Baking Show Masterclass, it's there and available.
Brava.
You'll want that. So that's what's made me strange this week. What's making you strange this week? Okay,
so I am in a show, and so last week was tech into openings.
The birth, yes.
And then like 6 shows in a row.
Yep.
So I've really been in that. But we've talked about before that like to me the stress is all like going into tech. You know, like going into the first rehearsals. You know, if you're in a show where they ask you to be off book at first rehearsal, that's a whole different kind of stress situation. So I haven't been really stressed out, but just very tired. And so again, it's like I can't finish Handmaid's Tale. I just can't. I need to relax. So two things that have been fun distractions for me is I did start Trial and Error.
Oh, okay.
Kristen Chenoweth, and it's the makers, the people who made Community. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it's the people who made Community, which is a show I absolutely love. So Trial and Error and Glow, I'm almost done with season 2. I love that show so much. I cannot even tell you how much I love Glow. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Lovely. And then, this is so goofy.
Dang, I think that's part of our jam here.
Okay. There was a book written in 2005 that I had no idea that exists, and I got an audiobook of it. I ordered it. I used interlibrary loan, so I had to like wait for it to come in.
I live by the interlibrary loan.
Yeah,
yes.
I wanted to find, so I have to drive maybe half an hour to the theater that I'm working at, and if I've already warmed up, I want to kind of stay in the mode of warmed up and singing, and so I got this audiobook. The book is called How I Paid for College, a novel of sex, theft, friendship. And I have How I Paid for College, a novel of sex, theft, friendship, and musical theater.
Okay. Look, this connects to our theme. Yay!
I gotta tell you, maybe I have no taste. I feel like it's really well written, beach lit.
Hey.
Like I feel like the metaphors and similes are lovely. They're just delightful.
Nice.
So I can totally recommend that. It's on Amazon and probably at your local library.
Yes, exactly. And while you're on Amazon, pick up Ken Howard's book. Look at all the takeaway. Look at what we've done.
I know. I'm putting it in my cart right now.
Fantastic. So I think we wound up packing enough takeaway into this episode, and I feel that we've enlightened ourselves as much as our audience, hopefully, which is always the goal. So I suppose...
Tell us, what are your day jobs? What are your takeaways?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
How are you selling yourself as an actor who has a second life?
Yes, exactly. What are you doing to make your non-linear theater, music, artsy life happen? We want to know. We want to know.
And most importantly, stay strange, dear.
But not in a way that gets you arrested.